Shalom, and welcome to Psychology of the Parsha for Parshat Veyelech. Parshat Veyelech takes place on the day of Moshe's birthday. But sadly, it's not only his birthday, but it's the day of his passing. As he says to the people, it says, quote, "And Moshe went and spoke to the entire children of Israel," to the entire nation of Israel. And he said to them, "I am 120 today," which tells us that today's his birthday. But he tells them, in several hours from now, I will no longer be together with you. I'm going to pass away. Hashem says to me, you can no longer go, and Yeshua is going to be your successor. And Moshe speaks to them about the future. And if I may, I would actually summarize it into two major points that Moshe gives the people about how to go into the future. And not only the future for them, but for us, for all generations perpetually, all the way until the end of time, until Mashiach comes. First, he keeps on telling him, and you see this is a recurring theme, keeps on repeating it, do not be fearful. Do not lose your hope. Be full of confidence, and that's how you'll forge ahead. But I want to focus on the other thing, which is throughout this Parsha, beginning with the first verse, you see this concept of gathering the people, bringing the people together. The very fact that he spoke to all the children of Israel tells us that he gathered all of them together, which is a very unique thing. And think about what it took to maneuver several million people to come together so he can tell them his words. This is how important and impactful the gathering is. Later he speaks to them about the mitzvah of Hakel. Hakel is when everyone, men, women, children, infants, were meant to gather together in Jerusalem. And this took place on Sukkot, on the festival of Sukkot, following a sabbatical year. Everybody had to gather together. All Jewish people. And then later at the end of the Parsha, Moshe tells them, come, please, let's all gather together. And I want to tell you this song, my final words, and that's the song which is the next week's Parsha, the Parsha of Azinu. What does this thing about gathering? What does this thing about gathering, the future? And Moshe emphasizing it so many times in this Parsha, and it's one of the most common themes. I would suggest that perhaps what Moshe was telling them is the only way to ensure the continuity of Am Yisrael, of us as a people, as a nation, and obviously we as a people, we as a nation, are everything connected to the Torah, nothing separate from the Torah. The Torah is our life. The Torah is what defines us. The Torah is what makes us unique and different from all the nations. The Torah and the mitzvot. Moshe says to the people, in order to ensure that you remain a people and you continue to exist as a Torah people, as the Jewish people, you need to have this theme of gathering. Because in fact, if you think about it, where does it really say in the Torah that you have to gather, other than this mitzvah of gathering once in 7 years? Where does it say that in order to pray we have to gather together, in order to study Torah we should gather together, and so on and so forth? Where does it say in the Torah that you need to build a synagogue? Where does it say that one has to live in a community where there is a synagogue and a hall of gathering, or a hall of Torah study? The answer is, this is what Moshe is telling them. In fact, I would suggest that maybe the reason why the Torah doesn't give it to us outright as a mitzvah is parallel and similar to the fact that no doctor has to ever tell anybody that, listen, you should breathe. It's something that has to come so natural. It's something that's so vital to our existence that we don't have to be told to breathe. The only time we notice this concept of breath is, God forbid, when we cannot breathe. That's when we start to choke and gasp for air. This concept of gathering is so fundamental to our existence that the Torah doesn't give us an outright mitzvah, the 613 commandments, that we need to do this. Moshe is emphasizing this. Moshe is encouraging them, but also warning them about the future. Look at our times. Look at the rate, the unfortunate rate of assimilation. I would suggest that a lot of it is due to the fact that Jews began to live outside of Jewish communities. In yesteryear, even Jews that were not so observant, even Jews that maybe were not from the highest attenders of services and so on, maybe they were the H2O Jews, they came just for the holidays twice a year, but yet they lived close to a shul. They lived in a Jewish community. Even if they didn't send their children to Jewish schools, they sent them to public schools. Fine, there were many Jewish kids in the school. There was a large population of Jewish kids. So the kids mingled with other Jews. But what happened when Jews were able to now travel to their temple? When Jews were able now to ride? And some were even told by rabbis that it's perfectly okay. So now they can live 15, 20, 25 miles away from a shul. What does the child see when the child looks out the window in December? Does he see only Hanukkah menorahs, or does he see a lot of Xmas lights? When the child goes to school, who are his friends? Who are his influencers? Children. Children who he becomes like them, and they're now like him. But sadly, children who have no semblance of Judaism, not even a minute one. Okay? Let alone that the home itself was not kosher, the home itself didn't have the values that we so strictly adhere to in order to continue and keep up the continuity of Am Yisrael. And perhaps that's what Moshe was saying. So we have to actually make an emphasis and always try to find opportunities, even create opportunities to gather Jews together. By sticking together, by staying together, by living in a congregational way. This will ensure the continuity of Am Yisrael. I want to take this opportunity to wish you a Shana Tova U'Metuka. Not only a good year, but a sweet year. As I once heard an explanation, I believe in the name of the Rabbi, that the reason why we say U'Metuka and sweet is because ultimately everything's good. Right? Albeit good, not on a level that we humans can understand. But it's good. Ultimately, if it comes from Hashem, it's good. What we're asking for and what we wish each other is it should be mituka. It should be sweet. It should be a good that we can appreciate and we could actually enjoy its sweetness. Amen.